Riding the Pine. This is our review of game 39 of the 2020-21 Chicago Blackhawks season. Tonight, the Blackhawks were shut out by UC Saros and the Nashville Predators by a score of 3-0. But before we get to the review tonight, if you could do me a really big favor and hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, helps us out a lot. Also, hit that notification bell so you will know exactly when we upload, and we have to come looking for you. You don't have to come looking for us. It helps everybody out in that regard. I know we had some erratic upload times here the last few days, last few games. So definitely hit that notifications bell. Also, drop us a comment down below. Let us know if you agree with everything we've said, you disagree with anything we've said, uh, or if you just want to drop a comment that you think we didn't cover something that should be talked about, leave us a comment down below. And with that, I will throw it over to Joe. Joe, pretty rough game again tonight or
Yeah,
this afternoon.
yeah, I should say, yeah, this afternoon. And like I said, the effort was there. I mean, season high 41 shots on goal, a lot more grade A scoring chances, but just couldn't put one behind. And really, the special teams just was brutal today. Putting it kindly. So that really kind of did us in. And yeah, what it is about Nashville this year. I mean, they've just really been able to knock the Hawks off their game, and the Hawks just unfortunately seem like they don't have any answers for to solve them right now.
Yep, that seems to be really since 2017. The Predators have had our number. Um, and the Hawks, like you said, the special teams, especially the power play, just couldn't get anything going. The transitional game between the defense going through the neutral zone, trying to enter the offensive zone. I don't know how many times the the passes were getting picked off. They couldn't right at the blue line. It was pretty bad. Um, and as Colleton said, the players were refusing to dump and chase the puck, which when you've got a team like Nashville that, plays the trap, uh, yeah, that's what you're going to be doing. It's boring hockey, um, but it works for them. And it certainly works against the Blackhawks because they had nothing going. As Joe said, career season high in shots tonight, 41 shots for the Hawks. None of them went in. Saros with the shutout. Saros has had their number as well the last few games. I think the Hawks have one goal against him in the last two, and I think 3 goals against him in 4 games, I believe. So
Yeah, and I think they said total the Hawks against the Predators, they've scored only 6 goals in the 5 games against them.
yeah, not good. And most of those came against Pecorine in the one game that he played, or one of the one games he played earlier on in the season. Um, but yeah, I mean the Hawks. It's the effort was there tonight, so I think that's an important thing. So we've been talking about the first period and the starts, and the effort not being there was definitely there tonight. But again, they don't have the offense to break through. Um, bad bad turnovers again. Uh, the one on the power play by Patrick Kane led to Boquist taking the penalty, ended up in the penalty shot goal. Um, that's also a goal I thought Lankinen should have stopped. But he was also hurt on the play. He got rammed pretty hard into the post with his left shoulder, or excuse me, right shoulder. And, you know, that's where the guy went with Sissons went with it and got it over the blocker. Connor Murphy had I think they called it a fumble on the air. But basically just passed the puck right to a Nashville guy in front of the net, and Lincoln couldn't do anything on that one. Like, that was horrible play there. First goal, I don't really have a problem with. I think that was a really good shot by them. I don't think Lankinen could have got it, and I think it was kind of from far out too. Just a really nice kind of top shelf goal. But yeah, I mean, overall, they keep making turnovers. Their power play, they give up shorthanded chances. And me and Joe were talking before. They had three, I think it was three whole shots on their four power plays, and that includes their 5-on-3. Like,
Yeah, and that just can't. Yeah, that can't happen.
when you have a 5-on-3 for almost two, was it a minute nine or a minute?
55 seconds, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah.
yeah. I think there was 5 seconds when Boquist drew the second call for slashing. I believe it was for. Um, I that was, and then they caught a break because I thought while the second penalty was for sure a penalty, the first one I'm not sure was. So
Was that the
y-
trip on Boquist?
yeah, so you had to like, and then Boquist just kind of laid there like, oh, are you gonna give me a penalty? And I don't know if Boquist just walked over or in between his stick blade or what, and somehow fell down. And then obviously it was Sissons, I think, that slashed his stick 5 seconds into the power play to get the 5-on-3. But it was just like I was watching him and I'm like, all you're doing is passing. And then even Kendall, who by the way, I thought she did really a good job tonight. Um, other than I don't know if you caught it, there was one instance where Pat Foley kind of took a swipe at her, which was on that power play, the 5-on-3. Kirby Doc had lost the faceoff, and Kendall goes, "Yeah, well, will be interesting here to see if Jeremy Colleton makes an adjustment and throws Dylan Strome back out there," which is an interesting statement in and of itself. That Strome's the guy that you'd throw out there for a faceoff, but Foley goes, "Well, it's too late now." he's that was to me. He's like he's smacking her down. He's like, "That was a dumb comment, you idiot." There's
Well, and that's what I was saying. I was like, well, and I think when they were talking about it, and I said, like, yeah, if Doc's, you realize even he's 0 for 2, why is he still? I mean, I get, yeah, he's a scorer. I think I tweeted about it. He's, you want him on the ice because he can, he can put, or at least help put the puck in the net. But if the guy's just not winning a face-off, you can't score if you're not sustaining time in the offensive zone. So I kind of feel like maybe an adjustment should have been made to, get somebody else to take the draw. At least that would maybe give you a better chance to win it. I mean, I know, our face-off percentages have really dropped off from where they were in the beginning of the season, but I don't know. I just feel like Doc was, he didn't have a good game in the dot. I don't think really any Hawk did, but
well, no, but and that's first of all, I think the fact that they're pushing this narrative that Kendall Coyne is teaching these players stuff is just a load of malarkey. But that aside, they need to get somebody down there who is a face-off specialist to work with these players because Strome's not very good and Doc's not very good. Camp is okay. Soderberg, I mean, Soderberg's not a part of your future, so he's kind of irrelevant. Kurashev, I don't think is really a center long term. Suter might not be either. Who knows? But Strom and Doc for sure, especially Doc. Like you want somebody working with him at the face-off circle. So and that's why I said way back when Koivu was let go by the Wild, like, why didn't you go and get him? Because he's a guy that routinely is like at 56, 57% for his career. And, you can bring him in as a mentor role. And obviously he went to Columbus, played about 10 games and then retired. But they got to do something like that where they can go and get a veteran, whether it's an active player or somebody that's retired that can work with these kids on the ice that's not named Jeremy Colleton or Sheldon Brookbank. And I think about that a lot too, about when we talk about the offense struggling. Who do they have on that staff that's an offensive guy? Because it's Colleton, Brookbank, Crawford, and Mattel, is it?
Yeah, Tomas Mattel.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't know much about Mattel. And I mean, Crawford's been a head coach for most of his career, but I think he runs the power play, doesn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, that's not working, obviously, at least not against the trap that Nashville employs. And I mean, it's still well, going into the game, it was third in the league. It probably isn't now, but uh, like, and that's just it. What did Jeremy Colleton say at his press conference? And it's the same thing I know I've said it, I think the last two reviews. If the Blackhawks do not score on the power play, they don't win. And they had 4 power plays, they didn't get a single goal, they don't win. It's just they can't score 5-on-5. And when your
I was gonna
power
say, out
play,
of the Blackhawks wins this year, how many? I would love to know how many there were when they didn't score a power play goal.
yeah, that would be interesting to know, I think. I mean, maybe I can go back and look at that, but um, yeah, they're well, even with their like, just how many goals in general they've scored 5-on-5, like, because I feel like they had a lot of games for a while where they were scoring at least every game had a power play goal. Some nights two. I don't know if they ever had a 3-goal game on the power play, but I know they had a couple where they had two.
Yeah.
But just with this offense, it's just not good. And like, if you were the Predators, who haven't been getting power plays, and they only had, I think, one tonight, the Zadorov elbow, which I got kind of into a spat online over that, and I called it a stupid penalty, which I still think it was a stupid penalty. I know Colleton tried to defend it after the game, but I mean, it was clear as day that he tried to elbow the guy right in the head. I mean, that's pretty stupid in my opinion, but um yeah, like, when you go through a spell like that where you're getting no power plays or one a game, and then you can't score 5-on-5, I mean, you're doomed. And a lot of people are crapping on the defense, and it's just like, wait, yeah, but you got to score if you're going to win.
Right. Right.
And they had 41 shots tonight. And so I guess give them credit for that. Like I said, the effort was there, but and I think that's the moral of it. The effort's there, but they don't have the talent. They just don't. At least offensively. Like, if they have a few, like, and that's the other thing. Like, if you go back and you rewind the game, so if they've scored and it's a 2-1 game, or if it's tied, that third goal probably doesn't happen because the game structure is different and the players are less tense, right? Because you can't give up, and you're in the third period, you're down 2. You can't give up another goal, because if you do, it's game over.
Right.
Um, and then, of course, what happens? Murphy makes a really stupid play, unlucky play, if you will. Turns it over literally right in front of the net, and Langen has no shot to stop it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't think they're making the playoffs, and like, I think it sucks, right? Because we all want them to win, we want them to do well, but at the same time, I think if you're a Hawks fan, you have to look at big picture. Even if they made the playoffs, they're not beating anybody. Like, they just don't have the talent. I mean, maybe by some act of God, they beat whoever their first round opponent is, but they'd probably end up getting swept the next round. Because everything they'd had would have been poured into that first round matchup. And I just, to me, you're better off. Look, like we talked about the standings last review. Columbus now has a game in hand. They're 3 points back. They win that game in hand, they're a point back. You got your next two games are against Dallas. Dallas has 5 games in hand and they're 5 points back. Dallas sweeps you. Now they're a point back and they've got 5 games in hand. So that automatically then you're basically, second to worst team next to Detroit in the division. Um, and so they can quickly climb back up with their schedule here. They're back into the draft lottery conversation. And even if it's not the draft, a top pick, pick in the 6 to 10 range, depending on how bad they play the next 2 weeks. Um, but I guess we got what 3 weeks left, a little
Yeah,
over.
I think there's around what is the last game of the when does the season end? I think it's around mid-May, isn't it?
Yeah, so we got 17 games left. So
Yeah, May 10th is our last game. So yeah, you got
yeah,
about a month, a little over a month left. So
yeah. So I don't know. I mean,
yeah, and my point was, I know we had talked about this, before, Kyle. You got now 2 games with the Stars, 2 games with the Blue Jackets, and 2 games with the Red Wings before the 3-game series with Nashville. So this is going to determine, I think, whether the Blackhawks are going to be a playoff team or whether they're going to be a lottery team. I mean, if you gotta at least take 3 or 4 points at least from Dallas, and you got to take probably all 8 available between Columbus and Detroit. No,
yeah, and Detroit is no slouch right now. They've been better than the Hawks have been as of late.
yeah,
Um, Detroit's in their last 10, 4-5-1. The Hawks are 3-7.
right.
So,
So,
um,
but that's, I'd say, yeah. And then in their next 6 games, the Hawks, have got to take probably what 10 to 12 points.
yeah, I mean they can only lose about one game because now you're 2 points behind Nashville.
Yeah,
And I don't, like I said, I do not see them. To me, the playoffs are already over. Like, and I think they've even said that, and I think Dom at the Athletic, like Nashville's after the win tonight, Nashville's playoff odds are almost double. I think Chicago's, and it's just you got to look at the schedule. Like, we talked about the 6 games there. Then you've still got one with Tampa and two with Florida, and then another what is it, 3 with Carolina?
yeah, 3 with Carolina.
Yeah, I mean that's what 9 games or 8 games. That's gonna be something else to get out of that. So uh yeah, I don't know. And it doesn't look like they're gonna win a game against Nashville. Like and that's the other thing. Even if they win the 10 out of 12 for those 12 points in the next 6 games, you still, I think you still got to sweep Nashville in the remaining 3 games. Like, I don't,
And it's funny because, too, what's, your buddy Mark Lazarus, tweeted out, the Blackhawks record against the division. I mean, you look at it, it's really 2 teams that have put us in the position we are. Carolina, the Hawks are 2-2-1 against. Florida 2-3-1, which isn't bad. Dallas 3-1. Columbus 4-2. Detroit 5-1. But it's the 0-3-2 against Nashville and the 1-5-1 against Tampa. that really have them in this position.
Right.
So
I and I mean Nashville, like they're not a good team. Like I realize they're hot. Like they are very hot right now. I think they've won 9 out of their last 11 games or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
But I mean, look, we know that probably in any series against, I mean, maybe the Hawks could beat Florida or Carolina in a 7-game series, but they're not beating Tampa, and they're probably not beating Carolina either. Maybe they could upset Florida, maybe, but
yeah. But I think they would go toe to toe with, at least be
they'd be
competitive
close
on their
games. Yeah,
teams against Carolina. I mean, not maybe not so much obviously Tampa, but against Carolina, I think they'd give them a series.
yeah. I think, yeah, against Florida and Carolina, there'd be a series. They'd probably lose, but there'd be a series.
Yeah.
Tampa, they'd probably get smoked. They might
I
win a
was going
game.
to say, yeah, they'll be lucky. It'd be remind me of the Vegas matchup last year. If they win one game, they'll be lucky.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just to be consistently competitive, they just don't have the offense. I mean, they just don't.
Right.
And like we talked about it before, they were I don't know what they are now. I don't know if it's updated or not. Let's see if it is. But their goals for they were 16th in the league. They were just ahead of St. Louis. I don't know. Yep, St. Louis is ahead of us now. We're now tied with Boston for 18th, and we're barely ahead of LA. We're .03 ahead of LA. Even San Jose is only .05 behind us, and San Jose is pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's that's it. And then I think we're what 10th in goals against. Let's see here. Yeah, we're 10th, and it's by quite a lot actually. .05 until you get to 11th, which is Arizona. But if you look at the top teams, so who has the best? Colorado's the best, then Vegas, then Tampa, then the Islanders, then Boston. That's how Boston's still in the playoff discussion. Their defense and goaltending is saving them. Minnesota, Dallas, Montreal, Toronto, Carolina, New York, Florida. Those are the top 11 teams in terms of goals against. They're all the top teams in the league. So, and I assume they're probably the same for goals against, goals for Colorado, Tampa, Washington, Florida, Toronto, Pittsburgh, Carolina, Edmonton, Vegas, Winnipeg, New York. That's the top 11. Montreal's just outside the top 11. Islanders are 14th. And the Islanders at 14th, 3 spots up from the Hawks. That's a big jump. That's let's see here, 6 plus 20 plus 3. So that's almost what 29 points, goals for above just in those 3 spots.
Yeah.
So that's I mean, they've got to do something there. I don't know what it is. And I had a discussion between Sherrod and Erica on Twitter where we were talking about the offense, and even Erica mentioned Suter and Kubalik, how fans overvalue them, where they're not elite scorers, they're good scorers potentially, right? Both probably put up 20 goals, but they're inconsistent. And when you don't have the consistency, that doesn't help. Um, like that's the Hawks are like a one-line team. That's why I don't agree. That's why I don't think you put Doc with Kane and Taves or Kane and Taves, Kane and DeBrinket. Jesus, Taves hasn't played yet, Kyle. I guess that's wishful thinking on my part. Um, but yeah, I don't know what they do other than trying to find it in the draft because they don't really have. While they have, the long-term injured reserve space, they don't have flexibility to go out and sign free agents. There's a difference on how that works. So you can use the long-term injured reserve money to keep your own players and give them new contracts, but you can't go and add stuff outside the organization unless it's through a trade. And even through then, you have to wait till the new season starts, and it gets wonky and complicated. And everyone knows how complicated the salary cap is, and
Right.
it's unnecessary, but it's the way it is. Um, so yeah, we didn't talk about yet. The Hawks made news yesterday. They reacquired Vinny Hinostroza with a trade with Florida. They traded Brad Morrison, who's a guy they got from the Kings in exchange for Oli Mata um, in the offseason. So Hinostroza, I believe they said, is driving the 20 hours to Chicago to lower the quarantine time. I would expect maybe he plays next weekend, uh, or maybe on Thursday he'd play. Maybe,
Because what does he have to quarantine a week?
yeah, I think it's 7 days.
Okay.
I
So
think. I could be
so
wrong
yeah, I
on
mean, if
that,
he
but
starts, if he, I'm just saying, if he started today, yeah, then he could probably, I would imagine he could probably play next Saturday at Columbus.
yeah, I would say Thursday or Saturday for him. But I think too. I think you'll see Yanmark dealt and potentially Soderberg by then. So now that opens up a spot for Hinostroza to play. Uh, Maybe that's why they made the move because they plan on moving Yanmark, and then you can slot Hinostroza in on that third line. Which, by the way, we haven't talked about it yet. He finally took David Camp off the second line. And what happened? You got 41 shots. A goddamn Christmas miracle. Save me, Santa Jesus. He did something smart. And then and even more shocking, I think, is that he put Kurashev on the second line. We were
Which you
bitching.
would think he would keep him there. So
Yeah, we were bitching. Why is Kurashev playing 8 minutes a game? That's got to stop. Like, I swear, it's like Colleton listens to this podcast. And then, even more hilariously, so in the last show, those of you who listen will notice that I talked about Kubalik on the power play and why in the hell he is up on the blue line, up at the point. He's your best shot. He should be in the circles. And he's also your worst forward at defense, or at least one of them. So if he's up at the blue line on the power play, that's going to potentially lead to catastrophe. Well, what happened tonight? Wasn't on the power play, but he was up at the blue line and he turned the puck over and it led to a breakaway. I don't remember who it was that got the breakaway, and Lankinen stopped it. But that was what? Was that in the first period? I can't
I think
remember.
so. Yeah.
But he had a turnover right at the blue line in the offensive zone. It's like, and I don't know if he was getting ready to, as the Four Feathers guys say, crank it, but like you want him down below somewhere around the net in the circles or somewhere to get a rebound or whatever. You don't want him up at the goddamn point taking slap shots from like a defensive position, especially given exhibit A. It's like, God, don't you just love when you mention things and then they kind of happen and it just proves your point? Anyway, yeah. Um, I've been hitting it all lately this week. I also called Hagel having a false positive. So
Oh,
props.
is that what it? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Did they confirm that today? Didn't they?
Yep. And I was
Okay.
telling people were like, "Ah, well, that's why they traded for Hinostroza because Hagel's going to be out." And I'm like, "Yeah, he just played. Like that doesn't make sense. Yeah, like, if he's on why is nobody else on COVID after he just played a game? Like, mm, it sounds like a false positive, and then sure enough, that's what it was. So a little pat on my back for that one and the Kubalik call. But anyway, um, yeah. So look, they probably win that Hinostroza trade just off talent, but it doesn't really do anything for them. I mean, I guess it gives them, like I said, it gives them another guy that can go into the lineup once they move Janmark and potentially Soderberg. Um, so I guess I don't know if it was the last game or 2 games ago we were talking about the Hardman signing. Um, both of those guys, if they move Janmark and Soderberg, those are probably the 2 guys that draw into the lineup. Uh, and maybe we don't talk about Lucas Walmark either, but that's another guy they could move for a third or a fourth round pick potentially. And he's got restricted free agent rights. So somebody might jump on that. I don't know. But he's more of a defensive, bottom 6 guy. I know a lot of people thought highly of him going into this season. Hasn't done anything for Chicago. Hell, even the hockey guy, probably one of the biggest regular Joe YouTube guys, said that, he figured Walmart was going to be the guy Seattle would take in the draft.
Yeah.
that's that's not going to happen anymore.
No.
I wouldn't think. But yeah, I mean, so it's going to be an exciting week coming up. I don't know. Let me see. When is the actual deadline? Is it the 12th?
I think it is the 12th.
I was thinking that's what
Thought
it
I read
was.
it was April 12th was the NHL trade deadline.
Yes, it's the 12th. So this week from Monday will be the official trade deadline. And I was telling Joe, I'm expecting, just because of the quarantine and the travel issues, that I think a lot of deals will probably be made before the 12th. Just because teams are going to want to get these guys in here now in the court. And I guess in the case for the Hawks,
So do you think I was going to say do you think so then do you think trades maybe start to happen as early as Monday?
potentially, but I think maybe so I guess I was going to throw that over to you. So, like, if you're Bowman, you're in a position now where, like, I think very clearly you would say if you lose both games to Dallas, you're a seller. But you're only going to have played one game on Tuesday. So do you wait for those 2 games before you make the trade? Because that's the thing. If you don't make the trade, now if you wait, you're risking the team that wants said player going out and getting somebody else and expending the capital that they were going to give you for, a Janmark or a Soderberg. So, you know, I could see it going either way. I could see Bowman waiting to see whether they can muster up some testicular fortitude and pick up a couple victories against Dallas, or if they keep floundering, then he does it afterwards, or he just says fuck it, and if somebody offers what I want, I'm getting rid of the guy. I don't know. What do you
Yeah,
what
I
do you
think it'll
think?
all depend, yeah, too, on how big of an do is it for the team that the Hawks maybe are looking to make a trade with, and for the Hawks themselves, is the guy that we're receiving and versus they receiving, do they need him right away or do we need him right away? If we're both kind of content with, okay, well, if they got to do the quarantine, whatever, we get them when we get them. I think that's kind of the Hawks mentality. I don't think like they're going to need to bring somebody in like, oh, we need them as soon as possible. You know, I mean, ideally
Yeah,
that's the
no, I
goal.
don't think the Hawks are that team. I think it's because it's the team that's acquiring the asset, right? And
Right.
I mean, most likely the Hawks are going to be acquiring prospects and draft capital. So if it's a prospect, yeah, I mean, who cares? They're probably not going to make the team anyway.
Right.
Uh, and if a draft capital, obviously, it's not a player, so you don't have to worry about the quarantining. But um, yeah, the point I think I was making there was that it's more on the other team that, you know, if someone comes calling and they said, we'll give you a second round pick in this year's draft for Yanmark, and let's say that's what you're wanting, but you're not sure if you want to trade Yanmark yet until the games against Dallas are up. You know, it's just as like a definitive, like, are we really out of it kind of thing? Or can we really make a run? Because I mean, that is an aspect, and Elliot Friedman brought it up, where you can, especially if I don't know what the fuck Chicago's doing with the Hawks and the Bulls with fans. But if you make,
I doubt there's going to be any this year. I
yeah,
mean,
it doesn't look like it, which is bullshit.
right.
But I was just gonna say, in the event that you can make the playoffs, maybe they let some fans into the building for the playoffs. So that obviously would be a nice carrot for the Wartses to make some money. So, you know, that may be there for them that they try to make the playoffs, even though I think in probably both me and Joe's opinion, it's kind of, you know, that shouldn't be, you shouldn't be sacrificing the future of the team to make some money. Because for one thing, it's going to be very little money. Because you're only going to get maybe 5,000 fans, 7,000 fans in the UC. But yeah, and I don't know what the deal is with the mayor and them with that, because I was watching I had to, don't tell anybody, but like illegally stream the first like 20 minutes of the Cubs game today. And uh it was, dude, it was so nice hearing fans again. Like, I'm like, oh my God. And they're loud too. They were like, even, it sounded like there were a lot of people there, and you know, there isn't, because you know what the capacity is, but it was just so nice, like hearing the fans at the ballpark again. And even
Right.
in
And I'm sure it affects these players too. I mean, I'm sure they want obviously fans to be there and right. And I mean, I agree. It's like, you know, if the Cubs and the White Sox are able to, you know, have fans, and I get it, you know, it's a lot of people say, well, it's because it's outdoors.
yeah.
But, you know, if the rest of these teams in the NHL, I mean, what other teams are there a
Yeah, I
lot
don't know
more in
many
the
teams,
NHL that
man, in the NHL that don't have fans.
how many are there? Do you know?
I imagine LA is probably one, and New York, probably both New York teams.
I thought New York teams though started allowing fans.
They may have, because I know New York specifically and LA, I believe, both started opening stuff up. So that's possible. And I mean, Illinois is supposed to be too. But I don't know. I like, and that's just the thing. Like, I really worry about next season, man. Like with this COVID BS, like how at what point are we gonna like finally have enough? Because, you know, this is off topic slightly, but I went to go see Godzilla vs Kong at the movie theater last night, and well, I guess it was in the afternoon actually, and it was sold out with social distancing, right? So they have like two, like if you're together, you have your seats, and then on either side of you, the next two seats are like roped off. And that it was the whole theater was sold out, and people wanted to be there. People were having fun. People, it was a dumb, stupid movie. It was not a good movie, and I didn't like it, but it was almost hilarious. Everybody at the end of it was happy and clapping, for Godzilla versus King Kong. And I thought, oh my God, everyone's just happy to be out and about and in the theater again. And I was just, it's like that with sports too. I mean, shit. You could go to, I imagine you could go watch the Blackhawks get beat 12-0, like the olden days in the early 2000s. And you'd just be happy to be there.
Right.
Like,
Right. So no, I think everybody is itching to get back, and I don't know because I know they advertise all the time for full season plans for next season, and it seems like the demand for them is pretty
low, I
high.
think. Oh, is
So
it? I was thinking it was low
I think it's
because
just because probably in a normal year, I doubt there's this much demand, but I think because now fans haven't been in the United Center for what's going to be over
wait a
2
minute.
years
Are you talking season tickets or individual?
season. So,
So
because I
are
know
they
they said like partial plans and full season. I know they advertise it all the time. I see, on NBC Sports Chicago during a Hawks game. Like, there's 9 game plans, 20 game plans, full
oh,
season
okay.
plans.
What? Because
And
for the full season, I thought, don't they have a list for that? Like, have they blown through that?
I don't know if they have or not, but maybe it was more so. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe it was directly more on the partial plans.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think you're seeing wow, I think they started in even the 100 level, and those are starting to fill up. And I think they're working their way up to like the 300 level, and even those are starting I mean, I know those are probably the first ones picked because they're the cheapest, but
Right.
um I think you're going to see, maybe under normal circumstances, a lot of people are dropping their tickets when the teams aren't very good, but because of the demand and nobody having been in the United Center for games and what's
Well,
going to
that's
be
the
2 years.
yes,
So
that's the other thing. I'm glad you brought that up because Elliot. So what I was alluding to, right, with the making the playoffs and the money that you make there, and plus going into next season, saying that you made the playoffs the year prior. I kind of disagree with Elliot because I think that I mean that might be true in a non-traditional market, say Carolina, say Florida, say Arizona. Obviously, I mean that they're a dumpster fire anyway. But in Chicago and in a true sports market, I think the fans are going to want to go. They haven't been able to go to the game. By the time October rolls around, it'll be what, 18 months?
yeah, right.
And
So
well, and I mean, and that's if you went to a game in, the first quarter of 2020. So a lot of fans probably haven't been to a game since 2019.
yeah, I was actually, yeah, well, my last game at the United Center was, yeah, March of the game before the last one. It was March 8th of 2020 when the Hawks got shut out 2-0 by the Blues. So that was the last game I was at.
Yeah, but I mean, would you agree with me like that there'll be more pent up demand for people just to go?
Yeah,
Like,
no, I think so. I think you'll see it maybe the first quarter of the season, maybe.
yeah, maybe
Or
it'll die down
then
afterward.
like once everybody's kind of been back, and then they realize, if the Hawks are bad, and okay, well, we got our game out of the way, or we got our couple games out of the way. I don't until they're good again. I don't feel like spending that kind of money to go anymore. So
Right. And I mean, I guess I would be more worried about the corporate sponsors buying tickets and shit, just because I don't know how much, corporations are going to want to take people out to, games with COVID. But like, that's just it too. Like, again, we're talking, what is this, April? So we're talking 6 months from now still. But we've already, I mean, I haven't looked it up, but the last time I looked it up was like 3 or 4 days ago, and we were at 93 million people that had gotten a shot, right, for the vaccine. And if, there's
that's
300
only yeah,
and
it's almost a third of the population, right?
yeah, well, and it's even more than that when you consider that the kids aren't eligible for it. Um, so if you figure, I mean, and let's be real, like when are they going to give the kids the shot? Like I know they're starting to allow 16-year-olds the shot, which is a new development, but I mean, when's the earliest they're going to give them the vaccine? 10, maybe when you're
Yeah, it
10?
might be a while. Yeah. So
Yes, like age 10. So like you're still that eliminates probably 20 or 40 of that, 300 and I think we're about 340, 350 million population. So like you said, we're at a third of the population having the vaccine already. And it's going to be widely available even in Illinois here as soon as next week, at least in my area. And then I think statewide, like you said, on the 12th, right?
yes, yeah, the 12th is when anybody in Illinois 16 and over would be
Yeah.
eligible to get it.
So I mean, and all the other states are doing similar to that. Some obviously, I think I've seen is like May 1st and stuff like that, which is fine, whatever. Point being, anybody that wants a shot should be able to get it in the next 6 months. Like most people should be vaccinated, and at that point, like, can we just start going back to normal? Like take the masks off and let maybe you do some reduced capacity, but still like we can't continue to be doing this because like I think I even like Europe's like locking down again. Like you're just putting people out of business and creating poverty is what you're doing at this point. And I know we're getting off like the Hawks games here, but it's like I just worry, especially because Pritzker and Lightfoot have been talking about, well, we're going to follow the CDC, right, on all of their recommendations, and it's like, yeah, but like you're not even like the states that are open fully aren't having any problems, and that's now. Like, what are you gonna do 6 months from now? I I, I don't know. Like I'm just really concerned because it seems to me like they're not like the mass stuff's not going to end until next year. It seems like, and it's just kind of like, but why? You know what I mean? Like, if everyone's vaccinated, or everybody that needs to get vaccinated or wants to get vaccinated is vaccinated, like
Yeah.
some people are going to
We'll see.
refuse
Yeah,
to
we'll see
take
what
it.
happens. It'll be,
Yeah.
how it goes, you know, and hopefully, like I said, we can get fans in there, at least to start next season. So I would think. I
I
mean, if
just hope
not,
they have at least 75%. And
yeah,
that goes for the Bears too. I mean,
right. Oh,
the Bears may be able to have 80% since it's outdoors, but just something like, I
right.
don't know. People are There's demand for it,
Well,
obviously.
of course. And then, but previewing, yeah, next game. I mean, Dallas does Lincoln get the start again?
I think you might see Subban on Tuesday.
Okay,
Um, just because Langenen's played what, 4 in a row now.
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, so Subban's due to get a game, and maybe that's maybe they think if Subban can get a win, and maybe you start rolling with him. I mean, and that's not a shot at Lincoln, and that's just you know one of those things where you go, we got to change something, anything
right.
to get a win.
Yeah, just
And
try to
if
spark the team. Right.
yeah, and if he can have a crazy game, maybe that's what you do. But yeah, Subban's got to play at least one of those games, I would imagine. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Uh,
But you think the lineup stays kind of the same?
I'd be really surprised if Mitchell does. Like, I was surprised Mitchell didn't play today. Um, yeah,
Maybe because they were on the road.
yeah, maybe. I mean, how many games does Rockford have left?
Oh, I don't
Like,
even know.
because I was thinking they were playing even a shorter schedule than the NHL was. Let me pull this up. Is this just home games or is this away? Okay, it's the whole thing. Oh no, they go with the all the way like the NHL season.
Okay.
So the Hogs' last game is the 15th. So they actually go past because the Hawks is the 10th, right?
Yeah, they're the 10th.
Yeah. So the Hogs actually go past that.
Okay. It looks like
Um,
they have two games past the end of the Hawks season. So
yeah, they're playing today. Actually, I wonder if I didn't catch it beforehand. Did they send Mitchell and Bodan to play in those games? Because the games against Dallas are back at the UC on Tuesday, correct?
yes, yeah, they're at home.
Yeah, so I bet Bodan and Mitchell are probably playing in that Rockford game. Uh, but yeah, um, I mean, maybe we see a lineup change if a trade happens, but otherwise, yeah. I mean, the only thing I could think of is they take Kalanick out for Mitchell. I would think because Mitchell's been out for what 4 games now, 6 games now. How long has he been out?
Yeah, something
Because
like that.
because Bodan got in at least one game before Kalanick. I know. So yeah, yeah. I mean, we'll see. Um, I don't really see about time ice. We haven't talked about that. Is there anything that looks ridiculous? Nope. I think this is actually a pretty good game for ice times, to be honest. Looking at everything. Keith's minutes were finally lowered, even at 22 minutes, still a lot, but lowered.
Yeah,
Uh,
I was gonna say that's still a lot.
yeah, Dehan was down to 15 minutes. Kalanick got 14. Boquist 20, almost 23 minutes. That's a lot for him. Doc is back up 19 minutes. So that was a big 7 minute jump again. Interesting. He was 54% at the faceoff circle, was Doc.
Wow, I thought it was worse than that.
No. So yeah, he was 54. Camp was 60. Strom was 38%. So Kendall Coyne, I don't know what you're talking about in game. Crapping on Doc when Doc's 30%, well, 22% better than Strom. Uh yeah, Kurashev and Suter were in the 30s. Um but yeah, don't really have much else to say on that. Like we covered everything. Offense is just non-existent even with the 41 shots. I mean, am I crazy on that? I mean, did you think Saros was just stonewalling them, or would they?
Yeah, I mean, he made some good saves, and like I said, but it just felt like a lot of the Hawks' chances were wide, high, deflected, blocked. All of the above. Outside of, I mean, some of them obviously got on net, and Saros did make some good saves, but I mean, it was just, yeah. I mean, I felt like there was more grade A scoring chances from the Hawks than in their past, few games, but I mean, I don't think it's enough to say, oh my God, if it wasn't for Saros, the game would have been 6-3 Hawks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean part of this too is Nashville, but something we didn't talk about is they limited Nashville to 21 shots. That's got to
Right.
be
That's what I said. It was a good defensive effort from the
yeah,
Hawks today.
yeah.
So
I mean Langenen's numbers aren't exactly great. I don't think he played horrible. Um, like I said, the one goal was a bad giveaway by Murphy. And then the penalty shot goal, I mean, I think he should have stopped it, but that's I mean, that's 50-50 on those usually, so that is what it is. Uh the first one, I don't think he could have stopped on the power play, so
oh
yeah.
yeah, no, I don't think the majority of Lincoln. I mean, one was the slap shot. I mean, yeah, that was just an absolute rocket, and the penalty shot. Yeah, that's I mean, the shot just I feel like got lucky. It hit the post and went the other. If it goes the other way or bounces a different direction, it's probably no goal. But you know,
Yeah, it was the Cody Parkey incident with the double doink.
yeah. So, um, and then the third goal, hey, it was a bad turnover and came right out in front of the net. So uh, I don't blame Lincoln for any of the goals he really let up. I mean, I thought he still played very well. So
Subban beat Dallas, did he not?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and say that Subban probably plays Tuesday,
Okay.
just for a change of pace. But yeah, otherwise that'll wrap this up for this review of the 3-0 shutout of the Blackhawks by the Nashville Predators. Hawks fall to 500 on the season, 17, 17, and 5. Game 40 again will be Tuesday against Dallas. As we said, every game at this point's big points. If they're going to make the playoffs, which is looking less and less likely as we go here. But yes. So with that, everybody, even after my COVID rant, we'll continue to tell you to stay safe. Check in on all your loved ones and friends. Get your vaccine if you are able to get it. And yeah, until Tuesday or Wednesday morning. Let's go Blackhawks.
Yeah, I'll be just so the viewers or listeners know, I will be on vacation for the next maybe 3 or 4 games, I think it is. So Kyle, you'll be taking the reins, and if anybody else, that Kyle has on, they'll be stepping in for me while I'm away. So hopefully, maybe if the Hawks get on a little run, I'll keep staying away. Maybe it'll be me, but we'll see. So, but no, thanks for everybody for listening in and tuning in and subscribing. I know Kyle and I both appreciate it. And again, if there's anything you ever want to add or give us a shout on Twitter, I'm at Shy Sports Fan Joe, and give a shout out to at Riding the Pine 21 on Twitter. We're all open for any kind of feedback, positive or negative. So, but we appreciate you listening to us.
Yeah, and if you want to jump into, I've offered to some people if they ever want to jump on with me and Joe, or if it's just me. I mean, whoever. I mean, like I said, the goal of this is to eventually get to a point where we are live after every game on YouTube. We'll be at video, and then we'll be able to take calls. So you guys will be able to call in, and yeah, we'll be able to talk to you guys on air. So that's the end goal of this. Obviously, we've only been doing this for what 2.5 to 3 months now.
Yeah,
I know, I
sounds
know a
about
lot of people like to, I guess, throw shade that we have half their follower count after 2 months, and they've been on Twitter forever. But yeah, I don't know. Like it seems a lot of people are like, well, you don't have any followers, so you don't have any street cred, and it's like, okay. But
right.
yeah, so like I said, we're real inclusive here. We want to have anybody on that wants to be on. We don't have to agree with each other. So as long as everybody's civil and isn't bullying other people or players, that's where I get upset when I feel like, especially players are being bullied online just because of reasons that have nothing to do with their actual play. But otherwise, yeah, I don't have any issues with anybody. So yeah, happy to keep growing here. And I'll say thanks to Joe because I haven't really been shouting out our Twitters in a while. So
Yeah,
other than
well,
other than when we tweet out the show. So again, just to reiterate what he said, you can follow him at Chai Sports Fan Joe on Twitter. You can follow me at McBrooklyn48, and then the show is Riding the Pine 21. And then obviously we're on the Killer Podcast channel on YouTube, which if you're listening to this, you probably already know. Um, and like and subscribe to the channel, as we said earlier. And also, again, leave comments. Like that's the one area like nobody wants to leave comments. I don't know if they're just afraid to do that or what, but yeah, leave some comments down below, and we'll be sure to interact with you. So, um, again, I wish Joe the happiest of vacations.
thank you, sir.
And we will be with you again on Wednesday morning with the review of Tuesday night's game. So until then, everybody, stay safe and let's go Hawks.
All right, thanks again, everybody.